10 seconds. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Steering track
Next
is full.
phase is now to start going on some offense.
Mike?
Well, President Obama talks about America's plan in Iraq, what this could mean for the U.S.
Flash to B.
And justice for Arfi. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department already deemed its use of force by its officer unnecessary, but why people in Coeur d'Alene, some anyways, are saying more needs to be done.
And flash to A.
And Spokane police arrest a man for a
BB1.
drive-by shooting, but why some neighbors and witnesses are siding with the shooter. KHQ Local News 11 at 11 starts right now.
And track BB1.
Right now,
Stand by
11
full
minutes
BO
of
and B with
nonstop
Dylan
news,
Mike.
your Weather Authority forecast, and SWX Sports Headlines. This is KHQ Local News, 11 at 11.
Mike Dylan and Dissolve B.
Tonight, some
Stand by
neighbors
your
are
bump.
siding with a man who police say shot someone else in their neighborhood. Some neighbors there say that confrontation didn't come as a
Start your
surprise.
move.
Good evening.
And
Thanks for joining us tonight on
dissolve.
KHQ Local News 11 at 11. I'm Dylan
And
Warrenhouse.
dissolve
So
cam
Spokane
1.
police arrested a man on
Stand by
Saturday
sting
who
the
they say
package in
shot
B.
someone else. And we sent reporter Victor Correa to talk with neighbors in that area and people who saw the whole incident happen. And some of these witnesses shed some new light and some new details on what happened Saturday night.
And effective B, sound full, clip Dylan.
Well,
Mike.
Dylan, a few neighbors in the area heard the gunshots, and a few even watched the whole thing happen.
Okay,
Now,
sting
police
back to
say
Dylan
this appears
on
to be a
cam 1,
disturbance
sitting
between
RP
two
is
people
next.
living in the same apartment complex. This is the corner where the shooting
cam
took
1
place,
again.
according to what neighbors are saying. The victim
John
was
is
leaving on
already
his
in the
bicycle
studio,
when
so
a
we're
man
good
by
there.
the name of Gary Courtney confronted him and shot him in the arm. Now, Courtney
We'll be
was
coming
later
back
arrested
to
on
Dylan
charges
on
of
the fitting
first-degree
RP
assault
shot,
and drive-by
and
shooting
then,
after he
we
left the
truck
scene.
cam 1
But
to
one
the
thing a
right
number
just a
of
little
neighbors
bit.
told us today was that the victim had tried breaking into
Line
the
his
apartment
shoulder
of
up with,
Courtney's girlfriend. The suspect, who has not been identified, only suffered minor injuries, and neighbors say he caused a number of problems in the area. One person told us she overheard the conversation after the shot was fired, with Courtney telling the victim if he ever came back, he would do the same. And another neighbor telling us this incident had been a long time coming.
Coming up, Katie.
No, I was not surprised, but he
20
was
in
fed
pack.
up with it. Everybody's fed up with the drugs and stuff that are going on down here.
Now, the Spokane Police
Stand by
Department
finger
could not
Dylan
confirm
on
or
cam
deny
1.
whether or not the victim had attempted
Stand
a
by.
burglary, but we will continue to update this story as new details become available. In Spokane, Victor Correa, KHQ Local News.
Mike Dylan sting.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Victor. Well, some in Coeur d'Alene are looking for some action
Stand by
after
to
the
take
police
the
department
04.
there says the force was unnecessary by one of its police officers that shot and killed a dog inside of a van.
And
More than
04.
100 people went to a Justice for Arfi rally
Turn him to 2.
today. A viewer sent us these photos from the rally this afternoon.
cam 2
And
next
on
to
the
the top of
Justice
Katie
for
at the
Arfi
wall.
rally Facebook page, one viewer wrote, "We believe that fair justice for Arfi requires the Coeur d'Alene City police officer who killed Arfi to be terminated. It is not in our best interest to have such public servants armed within our community." Now, the police department has not said yet what further action it plans to take, if any.
On cam.
To the weather center now. We're
And
expecting
splits
some
with Katie.
sun,
Stand by
a lot of
talking
sun.
in BB1.
Katie?
Do not Mike
What
track
can you tell me?
BB1.
HD Doppler 6
Ah,
to help
Dylan.
you plan your day. KHQ is the Weather Authority.
Mike Katie.
Our
And
7-day
dissolve.
forecast is filled with sun, Dylan. Our sky tracker, you can see we are going to be seeing some changes on the way. Lots of clouds moving in. That's a cold front that's moving into Spokane. It's going to be in our area by, you'll be
Okay,
able to
Dylan
notice
Van Camp 2
mid-afternoon
next, so top
tomorrow.
to John,
And how
and
you're going to
the
be able to notice
studio.
our winds are going to increase. Right now, 10 miles
next,
per hour. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be seeing those 15, 20 miles per hour in the Spokane area. And if you live closer to the eastern slopes of the Cascades, we're going to be 20 to 30 miles per hour there. So you're going to be able to notice that. And we do have a red flag warning that's going to go into effect in the southern part of the area, Walla Walla, Tri-Cities. That red
by
flag
Dylan
warning
on
is
cam
going to
2
go
next.
in effect tomorrow. But I'll have more
Off
coming
to
up in
John.
my full forecast. But our day planner tomorrow,
Nope, don't like it
beautiful.
yet. Mike
74
Dylan
degrees
now.
by noon. You're good looking at 78 degrees at 4 p.m.
sound
Let
like
me
you're
tell you,
talking.
enjoy this temperature because we are going to be back in the 60s the next couple of days. And Dylan, some
Now,
of
Mike
us,
Dylan.
not many of us, but if you live in Montana, you could be seeing snow. Brace for it. I'll have more coming up.
And on Dylan.
I like a good snow in the mountains
Clip
as
Katie,
much
she's
as anybody,
clear.
but it's a scary word right now. Well, the
Stand
Fall
by splits with
Classic
John.
is just around the corner, the big World Series. And could the Mariners
And
make a
split.
run for it? Is that too early? Am I talking a little premature, John?
No.
Mike John
No?
up. Yeah.
Why not? Why can't they make it?
And
Yeah, no, you know, of course,
John
baseball, 162 games in a season. It's a
That might be
marathon in
O&B.
baseball, but we're now down to just 20 games. Seattle Mariners are making that push for the AL wildcard spot.
Take
The
me.
Mariners, they held a game-and-a-half lead for that second wildcard spot coming into today's game against Texas. And Seattle pitcher James Paxton did about all you could ask
How about
for,
TG
going
Cole
6
next?
innings, allowing just 1 earned run.
And we'll be going
Pitching
back to
wasn't the
John on
problem,
cam
though.
and
It's the
then John
bats. The
on cam
Mariners
one.
were shut out today against Texas, going 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And with
on
that,
PG.
coupled with a win for the Detroit Tigers today, the Mariners right now hold
about
just
John
a
on cam
half-game
eight?
lead for the final
From
wild card spot. Again, we're down to just 20 games left in the season. Anything can happen as the Mariners fight for a playoff spot in
On
this
cam.
one. Of course, the
How about
M's, they haven't
Dylan
made
on
the
cam
playoffs
one
in
for
13
sitting on
years,
Phoenix?
Dylan, so should at least
Mike
be a
Dillon.
wild finish to the rest of the season.
And on
Sounds
Dylan,
good. We'll look
Clip
forward to
John,
later in the
he's clear.
Sportscast. Well, today the president announced
Stand
he's
by
planning
Top
for an
Bow and B.
attack against ISIS. On NBC's Meet the Press with Chuck Todd today, the U.S. will not be going, how he announced how the U.S. will be going against the terrorist group ISIS.
And take B sample.
We're going to shrink the territory that they control, and ultimately we're going to defeat them.
Mike.
Well, Arab League foreign
by another
ministers
Dot
also
Bow and A.
agreed to take action against ISIS. The president was clear that the
Thanks for the
U.S. will
OTS.
not be going back into a full-on war.
And effect the A sample.
This is not going to be an announcement about U.S. ground troops. This is not the equivalent of the Iraq War.
Mike.
Well, California
Stand by
Senator
another
Dianne
Dot Bow and B.
Feinstein says the president's response is, quote, overdue. She also said she hopes that America's allies will be aggressive in standing with the U.S. The president still maintains America is not in any immediate
And
danger.
effect the B sample.
I want everybody to understand that we have
How
not
about
seen
flash to VO and A
any
next
immediate
after the continued VO.
intelligence about threats to the homeland from ISIL.
Mike.
Now, former presidential candidate Governor Mitt Romney criticized the president for going on
Stand by flash
vacation
to
and
VO
playing
and A.
golf when so much was happening around the world. Now, President Obama told Chuck Todd today, I should have anticipated the optics of golfing after giving a statement about American journalist James Foley, who was killed by ISIS
And
terrorists.
flash to A.
And a truce ends between two violent gangs in El
Next will be the
Salvador. The
OTS
murder rate
left
from the
on
gang
cam
violence
two.
is 10 deaths a day in that country.
Stand by
Mass
for the
graves,
OTS.
businesses paying for their extortion, and people doing their best to stay out of gang territory. That is some of the things they're dealing with there. The European Union intervened to provide jobs for the gang members and keep them from fighting each other. But the people who live there say the violence is back on the rise.
And sing the OTS.
Okay, HQ on the money right now. Is college worth it? Raising tuition
And
and
by
in a
Dot Bow
tough
and
job
A
market,
next.
young adults are asking that question. And is it worth it for them to be investing in an education?
And take A sample.
Companies are not looking for college degrees to the same extent they were, and in fact, there are a lot of jobs out there which don't require a college degree in terms of the skills.
Mike.
And the number of college graduates
And
doing
by
those
another
jobs
Dot
has
Bow
risen
B
in the
next.
last year. But George Washington University professor Joanne Weiner says in the long run, it's worth getting the education to get a specialized job.
And effect the B sample.
For the vast majority of people, college is worth it. Just don't get buried in mountains of debt in doing so.
Mike.
You heard her there. Well, for ones on the
They might
fence, experts
sing
say
Dylan on cam two,
they think
turning
about
issue.
your profession, how much you'll make, and how much school will cost. Weigh the risks and the rewards.
And sing the cam 2.
Okay, HQMD right now. Things are looking better for an American
Dot
doctor
Bow and
infected
A.
with Ebola, the Ebola virus. Dr. Rick Scara is being treated in a Nebraska hospital. Doctors say there is still a long road ahead of him.
And take A sample.
One good sign that's very intangible is that he's got a sense of humor and he's made a couple of jokes. My experience when that happens, and that's a good sign. Can you tell us some of the jokes?
Next will be a VO and B. VO and B.
I did, he told me he was from Massachusetts and he was a Red Sox fan. I said, got bad news for you, I'm a Yankees fan. He said, uh-oh, it's going to be tough.
Mike.
Certainly good to have a sense of humor there. Well, Scara cannot have contact with his family just yet. Doctors are considering giving him a blood transfusion from the survivors of Ebola.
And flash to B.
Now, Jack the Ripper's murderous rampage has
Dot
remained
Bow
a
and A
mystery
next.
since the 1800s, perhaps one of the most famous. But one man claims that he now knows who he is.
And effect the A
I'm
sample.
100% certain. Definitive proof, conclusively proven, put the case to bed. We've done this.
Mike.
Edwards teamed up with a forensic scientist who
Am I
agrees
dot vote
that
B?
the data
Track B
is
full
conclusive.
and effective B sample.
The DNA doesn't really lie. So if you have a long stretch of human DNA that doesn't appear from
Think of Dylan
nowhere,
on
so
TM2
it's
next after the continued
that's
VO.
how sure we can be.
Mike?
Edwards also says the last piece of the puzzle was a blood-stained shawl from one of the women Jack the Ripper murdered. He bought that shawl in 2007 at an auction.
And same cam too.
Well, check this out. It is $1 million that you can fit in your pocket. This one single coin, historians say, is worth up to $1.6 million. Check this out. Well, John Stoner found this coin in the United Kingdom. The 3-penny coin is from 1652, and it's not only extremely rare, it's in mint condition, making this coin priceless. Well, sort of. It makes it actually very
Track
pricey.
B and effective B sample.
When we actually handled the coin, it was absolutely fantastic.